trade that away for that flexibility when you opt for the Life Orb over the Booster Energy.
Let's get into this very first game of this best of 3 for Swiss, round number 5 at the Knoxville Regional Championships. Mia is going to be leading on the offensive with the Iron Crown and the Ndidi, but on Matt's side, it's the Tornadus and that Rapid Strike Urshifu.
Kind of the tried and true combination there, Tornadus and Urshifu facing down the newer additions to the metagame in Iron Crown and Ndidi. This is kind of a great spot for the Iron Crown. You're facing down an Urshifu, which will be vaporized by an Expanding Force, and Tornadus, which threatens absolutely 0 damage into the Iron Crown. Ndidi has the option to go for a pretty simple follow me, and it is carrying Rocky Helmet as well, so it punishes any kind of physical attack coming out from this Urshifu. So a strong start from Mia, but Matt does have the option for something like a U-turn. You have the option for like a Tailwind and Pivot. Certainly not an inescapable position, but it's certainly not the best start either.
This is a really tough decision to make. You can see Mia kind of floating through a couple of different options, but the follow me is going to be the safest of those. As the user comes out, it still does a significant chunk into the Ndidi, but it is going to allow this Urshifu to stay safe from anything like an incoming Expanding Force. To take its place, though, Matt has an opportunity to bring out the Ogerpon, and that would be able to take this attack just a little bit better.
It may take it a little bit better, but it still will hurt a lot. Expanding Force comes through here. The Life Orb, Psychic Terrain boosted, does a big chunk of damage to both of those Pokemon.
Could you imagine if that Helping Hand had been used there?
Yeah.
I think both things just go down immediately. But the Bleak Wind Storm in response, this Ndidi does get taken down really low, but still with enough life left that you could just go for another follow me here for the Ogerpon.
Yeah, it's crucial that Ndidi survived. That means it does have the option to go for a follow me on this turn. Depending on how Tornadus and Ogerpon are trained, it might be a little bit rough, because if Tornadus does attack before the Ogerpon, it should be able to knock out Ndidi, provided Bleak Wind Storm connects, and then Ogerpon is free to swing at this Iron Crown. No speed control coming out here, though, means that if Tailwind does go up, that's later on into the game that it will last for Matt.
Well, the Ndidi uses the follow me, so that was going to be the first turn of events, but Matt gets to follow this up with the Tailwind. So now speed is going to be on his side as the Ogerpon now goes with the Ivy Cudgel. So a big knockout here onto the Ndidi, but kind of feels like the Ndidi got the job done and needed to.
It really did. You're getting more, turns for this Iron Crown to stick around. Luckily for the Ogerpon, Ivy Cudgel is not a contact move, so the Rocky Helmet chip damage does not come through. The Mia now switches in her own Tornadus. Should be able to match Tailwinds because Matt's Tornadus is not running Taunt. We have the option for some more Bleak Wind Storms, maybe a Rain Dance if you want to, set up the Urshifu for later on. But more importantly, the Ndidi goes down, and this Iron Crown now has to worry about a Ivy Cudgel coming through from Ogerpon.
What's really tough about this is, at the very least, Mia gets to stagger Tailwind turns.
Right.
So that is nice to know that Matt has already used up one turn of Tailwind. That Tornadus is sitting at such low HP that you could very well just go for a Tailwind on Mia's side and know that you have at least one turn to try to outspeed that Urshifu.
That's why I think Matt maybe could have considered going for something like a Bleak Wind Storm on the prior turn. I think not having that scenario where you're going to have at least one turn without Tailwind with your opponent having it can be pretty detrimental later on.
No, the Tailwind comes through, and so now this Iron Crown is going to be able to really do some big damage. It's going to go for the Expanding Force first, even before the Tornadus gets a chance to move. That's how fast this Pokemon is trained. And so Tornadus gets knocked out before it's even able to go for an Expanding Force in response, or Bleak Wind.
Exactly.
So many spread moves.
I know. It's hard to keep track of them all, but Iron Crown claims the first KO for Mia in this first game of the set. The Tailwind going up for Matt hasn't really done a whole lot just yet, and I believe there should be 2 more turns left, so you still have a chance to make use of it. Mia has shown 3 of their Pokemon, but not the 4th yet, so there's still a chance that Ogerpon could be lurking in the back, waiting to soak up a Surging Strikes from this Urshifu on Matt's end. But more importantly, Urshifu also just heavily threatened by Bleak Wind Storm from Mia's own Tornadus here as well.
Well, it's just going to be the U-turn. Okay, so a considerable amount of chip to return to Matt and be able to reveal that 4th and final Pokemon. Maybe it's going to be something that's able to take things a little bit better, but it's the Regidrago in the back.
Not going to be wanting to take a big expanding force here. Blink Windstorm comes out for KO on Ogerpon, and the Iron Crown has a chance to fire off another attack here as well.
It's going to. That's just going to be another expanding force right into that Regidrago. Got the speed drop as well, so even if it's able to survive through this, it's not going to be able to be fast enough. And so with that single target, expanding force on the terrain, that is going to be plenty to knock out the Regidrago, and it's just the Urshifu left with a single turn of Tailwind, but then Mia's going to have all the speed.
Mia has all the speed left, and then just looking at the two Pokemon we see on Mia's side of the field right now, both of them threaten super effective damage into this Urshifu on the special attack side, which is Urshifu's weaker defensive side. So this is looking like a rough spot for Matt right now, because this Urshifu, even if it is able to survive an attack, it's hard to imagine it has the firepower to take down 3 Pokemon on its own.
You still have Terrestrialization though, so at the very least you are able to remove that fighting type weakness to the expanding force, but it's just, can you actually get enough damage down? I think regardless, you're looking at the Tornadus being able to do plenty with just a Bleak Windstorm, but the Surging Strikes does hit into the Iron Crown, and one hit will do it to be able to knock it out. But what's in the back here, and what's going to be able to take advantage of that, this final staggered Tailwind turn?
I mean, if the Ogerpon is in the back from Mia, the game is over. Like, the Urshifu has locked itself into Surging Strikes, and it cannot deal damage as long as Ogerpon is going for that Follow Me. Even without the Ogerpon, though, the Urshifu is in range for one more attack. Chiyu here coming in, it would be knocked out by Surging Strikes pretty cleanly, but like you said, Rosemary, Tailwind is staggered, so a single attack from either of these Pokemon will be able to deal the last bit of damage that Mia needs to take this first game.
Yeah, you can just go for a Dark Pulse. No need to mess with the Heat Wave or the overheat
Please
here.
don't, actually.
Please don't do that. But it should be faster in the Tailwind. Bleak Windstorm is actually going to critically miss the Urshifu, but the Dark Pulse does not. And so with that last hit, Mia is going to take this game number 1.
And that's the nice thing about the Tailwind's kind of staggering there, is that, you know, if Tailwind does end the prior turn, you do have to worry about Bleak Windstorm missing. So if that played out differently and the Urshifu KO'd the Chiyu and the Bleak Windstorm missed, then Matt actually takes that game. But Mia using her Tailwind, I think, a little bit more efficiently than Matt's, just because she knew she had that one turn at the end. She took KOs when she needed to put herself in that spot where I just need this one turn to clean up the game, and that's exactly what happened.
I think what's really interesting about this matchup too is like the Iron Crown is faster than Matt's Tornadus.
Yeah.
Right, and that makes things really, really difficult because you could see that you just move first.
Yeah.
So if you're not going to go for the Tailwind here, I think that puts a lot of pressure onto Matt to actually have to think about using that Tornadus in a different way.
I think one thing that Mia did really well too is the turn that, I think it was the second turn of the game, she opted to go for Protect an Iron Crown and Follow Me with Indeedee. And Follow Me Protect is something that might not make a whole lot of sense right off the bat, because you're usually using Follow Me to like create space for your partner to attack at the same time. But in that case, all Mia wanted was the Indeedee to get knocked out so she could bring in Tornadus, get the Tailwind up, and then make sure that Iron Crown was attacking first. And you really don't need to Follow Me anymore if you're just taking KOs with Expanding Force, because you're not letting your opponent attack at all. So I think a really smart turn there for Mia.
Expanding Horse.
Expanding Force. Force. It's force. It's not a horse.
It's a horse. It's a horse.
I don't know. What is it? Iron Crown.
I don't know.
It's something. It's got 4 legs. It's horse-like.
It's horse-like.
It's interesting, too, because we kind of talked about the lack of psychic resist in terms of how having to face up against Iron Crown and Indeedee. And looking at Matt's team, Matt brought 1 Pokemon weak to Psychic and then 3 neutral to it. And the only things that resist the Expanding Force on his side are his own Iron Crown and Indeedee. So considering that Mia's Iron Crown kind of just ran that game, you have to wonder if Matt's going to make the switch up, kind of bring his own, and then kind of force that mirror, which might be just the best way you have of dealing with it.
I don't think that's a bad idea either, because we still don't know what that booster energy is. What kind of boost are you going to get? If it's a speed boost, you know you are faster. And then you can just leave the Tornadus at home, and lo and behold, as you call it, it's going to be a mirror on both sides of the Iron Crown and the Indeedee. They're literally staring at each other.
Yeah, they are on the same sides of the field, too. We're going to see the battlefield get weird, Psychic Terrain goes up. Booster energy comes through from Matt's Iron Crown, and is going to be speed. All right. So a little bit of a drop in power, but moving first could actually be much more useful sometimes, because if you don't attack at all, your power boosting really doesn't matter.
That's a great point. That's a very, very good point.
It's weird, though, because these Iron Crowns, like, I guess Mia has kind of an advantage here in that the Focus Blast from her own Iron Crown threatens a lot more damage than a Terra Blast from Matt's. but the Tachyon Cutter and Expanding Force both resisted attacks. Tachyon Cutter is your best option into Indeedee, but if you're attacking the Indeedee on the other side, you're kind of leaving the thing that's the bigger threat alone. So it might be a little bit of a trading blows here between these Iron Crown.
It's going to be a helping hand. So at the very least, if Mia's Iron Crown is able to stick around long enough, you will be able to do a significant amount of damage. But the Tachyon Cutter into the Indeedee, even with a helping hand, it's not going to be enough to be able to knock it out, but it still takes it to about half as the Focus Blast gets fired off, and okay, you're sticking around for one more turn, but wow, that did a ton. It
did a ton, but also maybe slightly less than I would have expected a Helping Hand Life Orb Focus Blast to do. That's a bit of a trading damage there. The Indeedee taking that Tachyon Cutter very well. It probably trained to be very specially defensively bulky, just because that Helping Hand Tachyon Cutter, I would have expected to maybe do a bit more damage. I think if you're trading damage here, Mia maybe comes out of that one a little bit better, because the Iron Crown, again, is kind of the bigger threat compared to the Indeedee. And Matt got a lot of damage on Indeedee, but Mia got it more on Iron Crown. So, I don't know. And now at this point, Expanding Force maybe 2-hit KOs, even though it is double resisted, just because those multipliers are kind of crazy.
They do a lot of damage, but I think in this situation, you're really okay, to just kind of try to do what you can. The Helping Hand here, okay, not worried at all that the Iron Crown is going to go down this turn, as it's another round of applause here for our Iron Crown that are on the field, as Mats does get a chance to attack first. So second round of Tachyon Cutter will be enough to knock out this Indeedee, but I think Mia's okay with that, given that you now get a free switch into something else in the back.
A free switch in now, but this Iron Crown no longer has the protection of Follow Me next to it. Expanding Force comes through here with the Helping Hand boost, is able to KO the Iron Crown on Matt's end. So we're again trading damage on Iron Crown for damage on Indeedee. You have to wonder, I don't know, it seems like both of those players were prioritizing either Indeedee or Iron Crown, and getting those knockouts might be exactly what they want. It just depends on how the rest of the pieces of their team fall into place here. Looking at what we see on Mia's side, the Tornadus and the Chi-Yu are her last two Pokemon, and we see another Tornadus from both players coming in here. They have some similar game plans, it seems.
Mia's like smiling and nodding a little bit, because she's like, you know what, I see you. We're going for like the same moves here, same Pokemon, same strats. But the biggest key here is that we've seen the speed interaction. So if Tornadus doesn't go for the Tailwind here, Mia's Iron Crown is just faster anyway. What can Indeedee do in this situation that actually helps to kind of stop the pressure?
You have to wonder if now is when you consider Trick Room as well. If you're thinking that Mia's Tornadus is going to go straight for Tailwind, you can kind of take advantage of that with your own Trick Room. Just depends on what Matt's fourth Pokemon is. Because if it's something that can possibly be underspeeding this Iron Crown in Trick Room once the Tailwind runs out, it becomes a much better option. But actually no Tailwind's coming out at all. Bleakwind Storm from Mia's Tornadus.
Wow, that's going to bring this Indeedee into KO range, but the Tachyon Cutter is going to finish the job right away. So Matt's just going to go for a Bleakwind here, I think.
It looks like it, yeah. Bleakwind Storm, I think smart from both of these trainers not immediately going for Tailwind, because we saw how important staggering them in that prior game is. Both the Tornadus missing at least one Bleakwind, but Matt actually missing both. That is really unfortunate. It would have been, not a whole lot of damage into the Iron Crown especially, but more importantly, that could have been a speed drop, which would have been really important for Matt there. Regidrago being his last Pokemon might be rough to use into the Steel-type Iron Crown. You are carrying Earth Power, but if you're Earth Powering, you're not Dragon Energy-ing.
No.
And so that's kind of what you want to be doing most of the time.
That's true. It's such a feels bad, because that could have been a huge difference maker here. But the Iron Crown still feels like it's just a naturally fast Pokemon. So do you even get a chance to actually get a Dragon Energy off before you do take some considerable damage?
We're going to see a Terrestrialization here from this Regidrago. It is going to be a Steel type. So at least you're going to be resisting Expanding Force now. Give yourself, maybe a bit of an out. I love that it's like Terrestrialization Crown. It's like on its side. It's always so funny to me.
I love it. Well, Mia's going to play it safe here with the Iron Crown. Wants to keep it safe as the Tailwind now from the Tornadus. It'd be nice, too, if the knockout just goes through onto the Tornadus here, as the Regidrago still gets a chance to attack. If it is going to be that earth power, then, you know, it's not going to be something that will affect the Tornadus, but it is the dragon energy, and this is at full power because it is still full HP. Tornadus goes down to that, but that's exactly what Mia wants with something in the back.
Yeah, considering it's a Chi-Yu, you might be having to rely on like a Bleak Wind speed drop here because the Terrestrialization into the Steel type means that Chi-Yu's fire type attacks will now be super effective. Considering it is the choice specs Chi-Yu, it does have the Bead of Ruin, lowering the special defense on Matt's side of the field, and of course on the Iron Crown as well next to it. But even just a single Heat Wave, probably enough to KO Regidrago, and in combination with Expanding Force, KO that Tornadus. So I think Matt's one out here is now, first of all, the Tornadus being faster than Chi-Yu, going for a Bleak Wind Storm, connecting, getting a speed drop, and then trying to go for something like a Dragon Energy to KO it. But Chi-Yu set up very well for success here in this second game.
It's a tough call, though, because if you go for the Heat Wave, it has a chance to miss.
Yeah, it does.
So,
it's always, you gotta worry about that.
Yeah, like, do you feel like you have to run the risk here? Or is it okay if you go for the Heat Wave and it still misses, that you'll be okay in the game? That's a huge risk you have to take here and calculate out if it's worth it.
Mia's going to index fully into this Chi-Yu, using the Terrestrialization to turn it into a pure fire type, further boosting the power of that choice specs Heat Wave that we will hopefully, if you're Mia, be seeing come out here on this game.
Well, it's just going to be a protect, and this is really smart from the Regidrago just to be able to see what this Chi-Yu could be locking into. It also gives a chance for this Tornadus to potentially have a shot at going for a Bleak Wind Storm and maybe getting a speed drop, but it just drops like a hot rock to that Expanding Force, and so now it's just Regidrago to have to deal with the power of the Chi-Yu and the Iron Crown.
I think if you're Matt, you saw your own Tornadus survive an Expanding Force in Game 1. Unfortunately, the Bead of Ruin gives it a power boost thanks to lowering the special defense on the Tornadus. So that is a difference maker here. You don't need to worry about Bleak Wind Storm speed drops anymore. Now all that matters is connecting with one single Heat Wave.
Yep.
So that's what's going to be coming out here from
even Tachyon Cutter, though, that's not going to be very effective. You can see the power of the Beads of Ruin to be able to drop it to half HP. That's going to take away a significant power spike from the Dragon Energy, but the Heat Wave to be able to connect onto the Regidrago to knock it out means that Mia will take the series 2-0.
Really well played from Mia in both games there.